Yeah, it's recording. Cool. Hey, Mac. So, like I was saying, the reason that I bring up the difficult parts first is not because I want it to fail, or because I think it will fail, or because I think that a particular idea is bad. It's because I've learned in my small amount of time on this planet that for an idea to succeed, you have to obliterate. Oh, sorry, ants. I didn't mean to do that.
Sorry, destroy your house.
I know that for an idea to succeed, you have to completely fucking obliterate the difficulties first. Period. You have to attack them. I mean, the worst part of an idea is investing time in it and then coming up to a gotcha toward the end. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
What do you think? I mean, I agree with the idea. That's a great fucking idea.
I think it has to be done, and it will be done. And I want to be one of the first people to do it.
How would one accomplish this? I mean, are there people working on this? Are there engineers and scientists working on this?
There's a couple $1 million a year put into doing it. And it started...
Floating cities.
Yeah. It started around a few years ago.
We're not talking like the Pepsi bottle island, are we?
No, we're talking... Well, it is probably going to be business driven, though.
No, I'm saying, no, the Pepsi bottle island I'm saying is that guy that built his island and like kept it afloat with 2-liter bottles.
I thought you meant like excessively commercial. That's anti-commercial, but
yeah,
no, that definitely counts. That's if that was viable for.
Or are we talking like
or a group of people?
Are we talking like floating pads, multi-billion? I mean, it would be billions. It would take billions to build even one of these. That's a lot of Bitcoin, dude.
Not billions to start, but almost, definitely hundreds of millions.
Yeah.
Like cruise ships do it, and hospital ships do it.
As long as I had food, I would work on those engineering problems for free.
Also, oil rigs are, similar to the idea. And there's also, you can also do ephemeral versions, which mean that individual people get together and dock their boats and either trade services or meet up or
you hold it like
or education.
Okay, I didn't.
See, this way we get both of us in here.
Yeah. So, if this was legit.
It is legit.
No, I'm saying, like, if the building were actually starting to happen.
Oh, so you're going to be one of the guys that gets on after it's already working.
No, I want to be the guy that builds it. Okay. I'm saying if the building starts, like if somebody's got blueprints, I would drop everything I have now, get rid of my car and everything, and build it.
Sailing! Sailing! Kayaking. That's some sensitive technology. Ahoy!
Ahoy!
Are you docking? Do you need help?
Yeah, just dropping off the passenger.
Okay.
Can you tell us your name and what originally got you interested in coming here?
My name's Tammy Beatty.
My name is Daniel.
My name is Eugene Schwartz.
I'm Terry Floyd.
My name is Kelly. Most people call me K-Ram here.
And I'm from Canada, and I guess my boyfriend knows a lot of these people here, and he said it was like Burning Man on a boat.
People use the term like Burning Man on the water to describe this place.
I've never been to Burning Man, and a lot of these people have.
I've been to Burning Man, and I actually don't think that fits at all. Burning Man, you kind of, it's so vast and there's so many people, it's a great way to get to know new people in sort of a superficial way. But this sort of environment where you're on this island and there are maybe 40 people on the island, you get to know a few people really well and spend time sort of in deeper conversation. There's nowhere to wander off to. You're surrounded by water. So you gotta hang out and talk to people.
Just the whole concept of like coming together as a tribe. I found that awesome. The kindness of people, the sharing, the community, the creativity that everybody brings, and just everyone's so willing to help.
It takes a very special type of person to be interested in coming out to an event like this, to organize and make it happen. And that combination tends to be very high caliber people, very good people.
I'm Anvit Adhikari. I'm from Nepal. And well, I heard about the Femoral because I was an intern working at the Seasteading Institute, and that's why I came here. But I like it because it's a very different and a unique expression of human freedom, if you can call it that.
What got you interested in seasteading originally?
Well, because I believe in the idea that, you know, like human beings, you know, I believe in competitive governance, right? That, I mean, you know, you shouldn't have one single monopoly dictating your life, right? That people, if people want to, they have the choice to leave and create a new system of their own. And that's basically what ephemeral is. You see one island here, you see another island there. But it's basically people creating new systems that they're more comfortable in, right? And that's the way, like, that's the way the world should be, right? And Seasteading is a very strong supporter of that. You know, like if you don't like the government, create a new one. Coming here, I saw at least 5 nude women who were nude because of their choice, not because they wanted to get laid, right? Like so.
Well, they might have wanted to get laid.
No. Oh well. But is like, do they really carry that desire with them for the next 360 days of their year? I mean, you know, is that like is this the kind of like desires that people have, you know, like when they're in society, or are they feeling constricted? Like, if they're feeling constricted, so what's the point of that society?
True.
Like, so that's a question. Like I'm not really sort of disputing the concept of society, but that's just a question.
A lot of people here you knew before ever coming here?
Yes.
How did that happen?
So I live in a co-op, and a lot of the people here are sort of living in intentional communities and co-ops in the San Francisco Bay Area.
What's your co-op called?
Rainbow Mansion. It's in
Okay.
Cupertino.
All right.
It's a lot of NASA and Apple people. It was originally started by all NASA people. I'm a NASA person.
I see.
But yeah, no, it's really cool. I'm actually an economist by training. So I was going to school in North Carolina, and I did on a lark, I did a biology class, and I did an extra credit project for it about using engineered microorganisms to terraform Mars. I'm a big dork for space. And that went really well, and the project was really cool, and I had this presentation I had to give at the end of it, and it went down really well, and I was like, I hate it when I do a school project and it's really cool, and then it just goes away. Totally just disappears after that. You throw it in the garbage bin and you're like, next class.
Yeah.
So I made a YouTube video of it, and I posted it, I think called Viable Affordable Terraforming of Mars, which is 10 minutes and completely embarrassing nowadays. I look back at it.
Right.
But a PhD student at NASA Ames Research Center in Mountain View, California, saw it and was like, hey, it's pretty cool. I'm totally into that. Would you like to come help me for my work on my PhD thesis over the summer? I said yes. Drove across the country in 2 days. Got there and worked for him for free for a summer. And then after that summer, the PI at the lab, the boss, basically was her lab manager left to get a teaching position at a girls' high school. And she was like, oh my god, I can't actually work in the lab. I'm a grown-up. I need somebody to hire to do that. You there. Do you want to stay? And I said yes. So I've been working at NASA in the molecular biology lab since. I do science, but my primary job there is paperwork. So I do paperwork. I help people with the visa paperwork. I help people. There's a lot of compliance issues with safety and stuff like that. I do all that stuff. And in the cracks between those things, I get to do some science, which is really fun. I got a cool project going right now. I don't know if you want to hear about it or not.
Yeah, I do.
Oh, okay.
Go right ahead.
Here we go. So, I'm working on building an automated directed evolution chamber. So, you basically take a bunch of E. coli, blast them with UV until you've killed 99% of them, then ease off, let them grow back up, blast them again, let them grow back up, blast them
Is
again.
it called biomediation?
What's that?
Is it called biomediation? Is that the word?
It's directed evolution.
Okay.
That's what I call it.
What is biomediation?
I don't know.
Do you know that word? Okay.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure.
Yeah, go ahead.
The idea with the directed evolution is eventually you get an organism that can totally just take whatever amount of UV you're going to put against it.
Right.
And people do this, have done this by hand before. So you take the organism by hand, you dilute it down, you hold it under a UV bulb, you pull it out, you like count the seconds and stuff like that. You do this by hand. The most anybody's ever done is like 80 cycles, and we're hoping we can do like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of cycles.
Right.
Because we'll have a robot doing it. You can do like 5 cycles a day instead of 1 cycle a day and get really cool results. And then what you can do is you can mutate this organism for a while, you're doing this, and then you take the starting organism and you compare and contrast it to the ending organism. You look at what genes give it those resistances, and you can pull those genes out, identify them, pull them out, and then plug them into something that's useful, like an algae, which you then take with you to Mars, and you can make bioreactors, or use them to generate oxygen, or use them to make food, or use them to make fuel, or whatever you want. And because they're super tough, you don't have to hold their hand on Mars, because Mars is a hard place to live. So we're making this directed evolution chamber to help us kind of develop a tool set so that we could someday use biology as a tool to help settlers or explorers go to space. So, fucking rocking out. I love that stuff. I totally want to go to Mars myself.
Excellent.
I'm engaged to Diana, who's over there, who I can't say is the most interesting person I've met here because I didn't meet her here,
Yeah.
but she's totally the most interesting person I know. That's why I asked her to marry me. She said that she would totally go to Mars even if it was a one-way trip and she died the second she put her foot on the ground. She would go for that, which is more than I can. I'm not that brave. I'm not that dedicated. But I would probably go on a one-way trip, and even if I knew that it was going to significantly shorten my life, which it would, because it's terribly radiated. It's not a human-friendly place to live. But I feel like humanity just doesn't have a future if we don't go to space. So it's kind of we don't have a choice.
What do you think about seasteading? Have you thought about that politically, that type of stuff?
Yeah, no, I have. I'm philosophically very sympathetic to it. I'm a big libertarian. But there's something sort of unrealistic about it in that if it were successful, so the political goals of seasteading are basically, provide meaningful alternatives for people who want to sort of vote with their feet about where they want to live. But, nobody likes competition. And, the major governments of the world would probably all they would have to do is say, no, we're not going to let you do it. And it wouldn't happen. And that's basically what the story of seasteading up to this point has been. And there were some guys who tried to start a company called Blue Seed off the coast of San Francisco, and I don't think they ever got funded, and I don't think they didn't get funded because they have a bad business plan. I think it's a good business plan. They didn't get funded because as long as there's the looming threat of the State Department just arbitrarily saying, nope, we're not going to let you do it. What are you going to do? We're the American government. Nobody's going to want to give them money because there's no way you can account for that risk. So I think that
disruptive technologies have appeared before that today are more common or underground.
Sure, and a lot of times they sort of eat government's lunch a lot.
What does that mean?
Well, you can think about it like
they get a free lunch because of the government? What do you mean?
What I'm saying they compete with what previously would have been exclusively government services.
Right.
If you look at the post office, there's nothing the post office could do about email. Email has come along and has completely destroyed what economies of scale the post office was able to benefit from. They're like, I can now send their business is just completely shriveled away. And then there's FedEx and UPS just driving them from either side.
And the one that goes across the Pacific.
DHL. Yeah.
That guy died in a mysterious plane crash, supposedly.
Did he?
Yeah, you know about that?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
But
he's probably still around somewhere.
the federal government actually has a monopoly on it, though. It's illegal in the United States to send a letter
Yeah.
through anything else, which is just fantastically arcane. But yeah, you can make laws like that, but every once in a while disruptive technology comes along like email, and it's just your law and this entire infrastructure that you've built to support the service you're trying to provide is now obsolete. And something like that could totally happen to other government services. Like, I could envision a technology that would come along that would make, say, the provision of, like, what if life extension happens?
Mm-hmm.
And is Social Security and Medicaid and Medicare, what's going to happen then? We don't have any more old people. Old doesn't mean what it once did. Like, it's entirely possible that a lot of what we consider today to be the absolutely necessary functions of government could just be obsolete because technology changes and we don't need them anymore. Like sending your mom a thank you card. Just send her a thank you email. So, Seasteading, I think, unfortunately, sort of misses the mark in that I think it's kind of a half measure. I also think that if it were of a meaningful scale, the governments of the earth would just not let it happen. Like, if there were hundreds of thousands of people participating in these sorts of experiments outside of governmental jurisdictions, like...
Now, what do you think about Bitcoin, though? Is it not big enough yet?
Big enough yet to attract the sort of... The united governments of the world would never be able to destroy Bitcoin, but they would be able to make it incredibly onerous to use Bitcoin. That's what they could do. And that could damage the currency enormously. One of the reasons why I think we need to go to space is because we've run out of elbow room here on Earth. There's a lot of institutional legacy here. It's difficult to try new things. We need space to go and expand and differentiate and try new things. You can't go and start a new government. Seasteading is an effort to basically have experimentations in government here on Earth but that's hard to do. When you want to start a new government on Earth, the historical method was to have a revolution and or invade someone. Seasteading is a noble attempt to try and address the question of how you can experiment in governments without killing a bunch of people. There's no government that exists on Earth today that isn't based to some degree off that principle. But,
do you think that space is significantly more expensive than seasteading would be?
It's way more.
Would be?
It's way more expensive, but the benefit of it, despite that increased expense, is that you're further away. So,
that's
if
true.
if you're in the Pacific, the U.S. Navy can just come out and say, "Oh, hey, guess what? We're shutting you down."
Right.
But if you're on Mars, it is a 2-year trip to send anyone out, and it is incredibly expensive. The people who are there, and if they have any infrastructure at all to support themselves, are at an enormous advantage comparatively to whomever is on the Earth to try and go out and affect what they're going to do. And also, there's just so much space in space. Like, once you're off the Earth, the idea of a resource or space competition just doesn't make any sense. Like, if you look at the raw resources that are in the solar system, the asteroid belts, the gas giants, the moons of the big gas giants, Mars, mostly the asteroid belts. The asteroid belts sort of make everything else look piddling. There's enough stuff out there to support trillions of human beings in a technological civilization. We're sort of like a thin chemical scum suspended on the surface of the Earth, sort of living on the leavings that are still here. All the really good stuff, all the uranium and nickel and iron and things that you need for technological civilization on the Earth are at the center. Because it's like a big sandbox shaking. You get all the silica at the top and all the good stuff settles to the bottom.
Yeah.
Not in the asteroid belt. All the stuff in the asteroid belt is right up there ready for the taking. Every heavy metal mine on the surface of the Earth is an old asteroid impact site that we're mining. So space is, if you can get out of the gravity well, if you could get up there, there's near infinite room for expansion and resource exploitation. And it's not like we need to kill a bunch of Indians to do it. There's no moral imperative not to. And we could make human life so much better. We could preserve the Earth by taking off the huge burden of strip mining Africa and West Virginia to get all the resources that we need to support life here. We could just import them. So I think that space holds enormous promise because it's just got a lot of space and a lot of stuff. And the more human beings we have, more separated from each other, I think the more diversity we're going to have, and ultimately how robust our species is in the long term, how long we're able to survive, is going to be a function of how diverse we are and how spread out we are. It's going to determine what the challenges we're able to get past are. Right now, I think we're in an incredibly fragile state. We're technologically advanced enough to kill ourselves off. We deal with a number of existential threats, like an asteroid impact or some super plague comes along, or surely, and it probably a lot more likely we'll kill ourselves off. But right now on the Earth, the way we are, it's scary. I love humanity, and I love what we've done, and I'm completely enthralled with our history and what we're capable of, and what we could be capable of in the future. The potential of us, of this intelligence that we have. And it's really frightening to me that all that could just end. The universe would be completely impartial to that end. The universe doesn't care. The Earth will keep on spinning, but we could just completely go away, and all of our history, and every philosopher, and every lover, and every politician, and every political ideology on the Earth ever will just not have mattered. That's a scary thing. So I really want to see humanity in whatever form it takes to persevere and continue on. And that's important.
Do you have any questions for me?
Who's the most interesting person you've interviewed?
I'm Pablo. I find myself attracted to interesting people who are exploring life's experiences. One of my dear friends is a young man named Daniel Ford, who is a longtime burner, longtime explorer of the human condition. And one Monday asked him, "So how was your weekend?" And he said, "I went to this really amazing thing." That was, I think, 5 years ago. That was the first ephemeral. And I said, "That sounds great. When are they doing the next one?" And he said, "Next year." And so the next year I went on my own, and the year after I brought my family, and the year after I brought my family a little more, and this year, for a couple of more days, and this year we actually had the family for the whole time, except they actually had to leave this afternoon, so, we've, starting 2 years ago, I and a couple of the other nominal grown-ups started wanting a boat that was particularly tuned to the kids' needs. So we, Zoe and I, Zoe has 2 boys, I have a boy and a girl, and we sort of decided to have the family boat. And we tried to come up with a clever name, and so we were Breeder Reactor. Last year we changed the name to Family Planning, but people liked Breeder better, so we're Breeder again.
I was wondering if the captain of the boat might be a nuclear scientist or something.
Yeah.
Are you the father of Miranda?
I am.
Oh, several. One of the questions is, who is the interesting or coolest person that you met this time around?
I know.
A couple people said Miranda, and I thought she was very good too.
And she is very much at home in this world. She is an explorer of the human experience, I think, much like I am. We also have a wonderful boy, Jeremy, who's much younger and he's still coming to grips with, naked people jumping off the roof at random times. But yeah, we're very pleased and proud of both of them, and grateful that they're able to see things that many people would automatically sort of reject as weird and scary and wrong, and see that they can be parts of wholesome, loving, positive communities. And the fact that we're able to share these experiences with them is just spectacular.
How many years have you been here?
This is our fourth, I think.
Fourth year.
Yeah,
what
so-
makes you keep coming back?
It's
What you just said?
yeah, it's the I love community and human connection and seeing how it can be fostered in new ways. I love intentional living. So
Do you or have you lived in an intentional living community before?
not under the contemporary definition. In college and in grad school, I was shared housing, but nothing of what has developed in this last decade as like Tortuga, for example.
What is somebody else told me about Tortuga? What is that?
A lot of the early ephemeral islanders and folks who are still here live in an intentional community called Tortuga in Mountain View. So Patri, founder of the Seasteading Institute, who's over on the Seasteading boat, he and let's see, James and Danielle and I forget who else.
They all live together at Tortuga?
There's I think there are 6 or so apartments that are part of a complex, basically 1 or 2 buildings that are shared space, shared values, shared responsibilities.
I see. That sounds nice.
Yeah. If you can build, it's like choosing your family.
Well, who's the most interesting person that you've met this time around?
Do they have to be that I didn't know them before?
It doesn't matter.
Actually,
it's just
but this really counts. So the person who I've known longer than almost anyone that I'm still in touch with is a college friend of mine from the early 80s. I guess we met in 1982. Lorian Pratt. She's come out for the first time with her daughter Kimberly. Kimberly, you may have seen, is a little green-haired girl who is brilliant, fiercely fearless, deeply interested, curious, and brilliantly artistic. If you've seen all of the face painting, the amazing...
Was that her?
The sunsets, the snakes, the Dr. Seuss bending beds with sleeping pillows, all of that's Kimberly. And she just loves trying new things. And I love pausing and seeing the world through Kimberly's eyes. Just that of a 12-year-old who sees such wonder and such possibility in things, and sees joy in connecting wires together and making pieces of fruit on our table work together as a Nintendo controller. So Kimberly is no doubt the most interesting person that I've really met here.
Great answer. What's the most difficult thing about this event in terms of organization or... you mean psychological or practical? Anything.
Yeah.
Well, what are the hard parts?
Well, it's an interesting notion here of, like at Burning Man, there's this notion of radical self-reliance. However, as with things like mountain climbing expeditions and anything nautical, you have to have some carefully controlled things to prevent people from dying. And so the amount of coordination you have to achieve to manage a fast, effective, decisive action, like last year when the North Island broke away and 25 knot wind is blowing 40 tons of houseboat at the South Island, and 10 knots, and people are going to die unless correct actions. So you have something like, it's either carefully coordinated chaos or carefully organized chaos or random acts of coordination. And I don't know which it is, but consensus when there is nobody in charge. We are each captains of our own boats. I hate being in charge of stuff. I hate being a captain, but I want this thing to happen. It's like being a parent, you know. Changing diapers is complete crap, and you do it for years.
Okay.
But it has to be done because the result, you know, if I as a captain, if James, if Tanya, if all of these other people didn't captain and go through all of the logistical crap and figure out how we're making decisions, and we're doing night watches this evening to keep eye on the drunk people, make sure folks don't get lost, drown. It's just a pain, but we want to make this happen because it's such a beautiful thing. So, first night out here, I was swearing to myself, saying I am never going to captain, never going to captain again, and just because we had some docking issues. But like I see this, and if I didn't captain, if we all didn't captain, this wouldn't happen.
Yeah, we wouldn't have any captains.
Yeah, so damn it, I guess I'm going to captain again next year.
Yeah, I wrote some postcards to my friends when I got here, and I think one of the first things I said was that it was very interesting to see people make decisions.
It's wonderful, and you get these beautiful leaders emerging. There is so where I come from, there's a great emphasis, at least giving lip service to leading without authority. You don't get to tell somebody to do something; you have to convince something to do something.
Where do you come from?
I've recently left Google.
Okay.
And here, and there it's, are we going to integrate this feature? Where are we going to arrange the desks? Blah blah. It's stuff that is not as out here. It can be life and death. And my second year here, there was a uncoordinated boat coming in the wrong way. A lot of potential unhappiness, and it was beautiful to watch folks like Danielle and Paul and James and Matt come together very quickly, work out consensus with the new captain who was coming in, and the leadership that was just...
I like what they've got going on over there. I'm paying attention, I swear.
Yeah. No.
They just started singing.
It's the karaoke groove is definitely working. But watching that happen is, the leading without authority, understanding when you're going to compromise, when you're going to say I dissent, but I dissent but commit.
Right.
And the people here are just so good at that. This is practical, sometimes life and death. How to organize communities, and that's beautiful.
Oh my God, do I try? I try all the time in this institution.
Is that Ithaca? Or is that...
No, that is the...
That's Salt?
Yes.
Salt, the
self-built platform art boat.
Yeah.
Those people have been working since at least Tuesday.
Yeah, God,
and while they were here, they brought all the stuff up from Los Angeles, I think.
Yeah. It's crazy. It's I felt my age out there. It's like surrounded by beautiful, hot young pirates with power tools and flames.
Right.
And of both genders, they're just gorgeous men and women, and they're
Apparently, they're all part of a bicycle gang.
A biker
gang. Yeah. I asked them how they all knew each other. They said, in Los Angeles, everybody bicycles, and that's what we do together. But
no, this is it's beautiful. This is as fully as possible experiencing human life and the possibilities of. Anyhow,
right.
I'm rambling.
Yeah. Now, I'm on a wisdom trek, I've called it.
Okay.
And this was one of the stops to try and gain wisdom about the world and that type thing. Is there anything that you could tell me that took you a long time to figure out, or something like that? Any sort of advice or guidance or like that?
Yeah.
Or if there's any place you think I should also go or meet, or
No. I think any place is good. I'm a student of the Stoics, who I think are desperately misunderstood. The distinction between the Stoics and the Buddhists is not that great. There's this one injunction that I really, not injunction, an admonition.
admonition against the Stoics?
No.
Oh.
So the Buddhists say you should look at everything as if for the first time. Look at everything as a child. See everything new. Something I don't particularly like about Buddhists is, well, I love Buddhists, but about the Buddhist philosophy is this notion of everything is transient and impermanent, so you should not become attached to it. You should just let it go. And there's this notion that appreciating the physical world, the present, is somehow detracts from the pureness of mind. The Stoics sort of turn the look at everything as if for the first time on its head. They say, actually, you should look at everything as if you were seeing it for the last time. Imagine this is the last night you're going to spend under the stars. How are you going to appreciate it? Won't you appreciate it more? Think about it. If this is your last margarita, if this is the last kiss you're ever going to have with this person, how rich it makes your life. And the Stoics say, life is transient. Everything will go away, and that is all the more reason to revel in and appreciate what we have now, the beauty of it. So I try to keep both of those in my mind. This may be the last time you and I ever get to speak, the last time we get to talk to each other, and so this is a reminder for me to sort of relish the beauty of this experience, and holding that moment, holding that recognition of everything I do has made my life, I feel so much richer, and it's brought me great joy.
Is there anything you want to ask me?
I'm completely crap at asking you questions.
Obviously don't have to.
What is the piece of wisdom that someone has offered you this evening or today since you've been here that has most resonated with you?
Well, that somebody has offered me that wasn't myself. It was definitely what you just said. Of course, that was the best thing I've heard all day. That's what I've been looking for. But other than that, I guess, whatever that means, I don't know, the whole thing. I've been in California a couple days. And I have a friend named Kevin that I met on the internet that I've been staying with. So I stay with him. He took me to Davis. I don't know if you know that place.
Yeah.
I went to a co-op and they had all kinds of food there that I'd never seen before.
Where are you from?
I travel a lot, but right now I live in North Carolina. I was born in Guam. You know where that is?
I know where Guam is.
Yeah.
I was born in North Carolina.
Oh, okay. Well, I live near Fayetteville right now.
I was born at Fort Bragg Army Base.
Yeah?
Yeah.
My dad used to work. He was a creative thinking teacher at Fort Bragg before he retired. Wow. So.
Love the small world.
Right.
Excellent.
But every person I've met and the whole idea of it actually being here, and as I've gotten used to it, been here a couple days, it's very unique and interesting.
Yeah. It's funny, I don't feel the need to go to Burning Man anymore. Burning Man, this feels like that itch that I have for finding, art, community, love, appreciation, joy, spontaneous acts of, the random acts of kindness. I get my fill here, and this keeps me warm. So yeah, I'm glad. I'm very pleased you've had a chance to experience this. It's a special place for me.
I will surely be back, I suppose.
Excellent.
It's a long way, so I might not be here next year, but it's definitely on the list of things that I would do again.
I think once you're an Ephemera Islander, you're always, it's you can always come back whenever. So.
All right.
So
thank you.
Thank you, Mac.